I've been using the Xiegu X6100 now since it first came out, so several years actually. But every time I mention Xiegu on the video channel, we get the keyboard warriors coming up saying, oh, I wouldn't buy anything made in China, etc., etc., it's rubbish. Well, I think things have blurred over the recent years, but anyway, I can only tell you that I have quite enjoyed it, and that's what this video is all about. The X6100 is a shack in the box. It covers 160 metres through to 6 metres. It's SSB, AM, CW. It's got a built-in antenna matching unit. It's even got a built-in microphone actually, although I tend to use an external microphone. Internal battery. So what you see there is everything you need barring an aerial. Although if you go on Morse code, you'll need a paddle key as well. But the X6100 is not the current radio. It's been superseded by the X6200. But the 6100 is still available, and I reckon it offers tremendous value because it's so well priced. And all right, you can criticise certain things, I suppose, that it hasn't got on it, although it's difficult to criticise it if you're just looking for a SSB, a CW transceiver. It's got all the gimmicks and gizmos that you probably need. But I thought we'd just take a little bit of a dive back into the 6100 because it does, to my mind, offer such tremendous value. It's worth having a look at, particularly if you are like me and go out and do some portable operation and don't want to take too many bits and pieces with you. Just take something like that and a paddle key if you operate CW, or a microphone if you don't operate CW, and have some fun. You've got the lovely spectrum display there, and the menu system is very easy to get into. You've got some extra controls on the top there. There's a built-in rechargeable battery, and with that battery you can run up to 5 watts as variable power control in the menu system. If you use an external battery, 12 or 13.8 volts, then you'll get up to 10 watts. Front facing speaker as well, that's useful. There's no speakers that are buried underneath or at the back or anything like that. So front facing speaker. Nice large tuning dial, very easy to tune, but it's a nice dial there. So all in all, yeah, it's a nice concept in ham radio. One thing I should actually mention, I've just turned the light off now, you can see that all the buttons are backlit, even on the top, which is very useful if you're operating in a dark area. So many transceivers these days fail to have illuminated buttons, but these are illuminated, which I think is another plus point. On the top here you've got the BNC connector for the antenna, then you've got the IQ output if you want to use an external display with a sort of an SDR configuration, and at the bottom there you've got the 12 or 13.8 volt in. That will charge the internal battery and also run the radio. You can switch on a menu item, switch it off so that when you plug 12 volts in there, it's not charging the battery. You do that if you are using an external supply for operation. On the other hand, if you want to charge the battery, then you go into the menu item and you say charge, and every time you put any supply in there, 12 or 13.8 volts, it'll charge the battery. Then on the right hand side, you've got the socket for the microphone. You've got the SD card slot there, a pair of USB connectors for interfacing with a computer. You've got an accessory socket which is used to switch a linear. You've got the Morse key socket, and you've got a socket for the speaker or headphones. One nice operational feature is that they've got these legs that come out at an angle, which means to say that you can then tilt the radio like that for operation. I find that quite useful actually, and it's pity some of the other radios don't have a feature like that. You can't beat a sloping panel when you've got a portable radio on the table there. And if we have a look on the top panel, You've got a button there, PTT. The reason for that is that there's actually a built-in microphone. You could actually use this, I suppose, as a handheld. I think it's stretching it a bit because you'd have to have some sort of whip antenna into the socket there, and you'd have to have some sort of counterpoise on the ground. So I'm not sure many people would use it. But anyway, you have got a PTT button there. Then you've got the buttons here for changing band up and down bands. You can also select the modes there, SSB, AM, CW, etc. there. On this side, we've got the tuner button there for the auto tuner. We've got the attenuator, we've got a preamp, we've got menu selection for memory, and also we've got the AB and VFO selection. So there's plenty of buttons there to enable you to operate without going too deeply into the menu system. To adjust the tuning rates, one of the buttons on the top, we just tap it. You can see it goes through 4 different positions or 4 different tuning speeds, from just a few hertz up to several kilohertz. Now, if you look on the front panel again, you'll see that we've got several menu items there. These are the main menu items that allow you to do all sorts of things, adjusting the transceiver, selecting various features and so forth. And that menu item is selected by this button here, which is general. Now, we can change that. If we press that, we get another range of menu items. We check it again. That's, I think, primarily for CW. And every one of those buttons has a new range of memory points along there, and each one of these buttons selects a different range of features selected by these buttons. So that's quite clever, actually. Now, the way the menu item is set up and the way you navigate it is very similar to the way that Yaesu have created their menus and navigation system. We press this page here, we get a number of menu items coming up, and if I rotate this button, you'll see that I can select the appropriate item. It's not a touch screen, so we have to use this here to navigate. And once we've got onto the point there, we want to change that, we just rotate the dial here, and it rotates backwards and forwards to whatever value we select, or whether it's an on-off menu or whatever. But it's very quick and it works extremely well. So what about items that you might want to adjust when you're on the air? Power or RIT or RF gain, that sort of thing. Let's have a look. There's a couple of convenient features. This up here is the volume control, but if I press it, I cycle through RF and squelch, go back to volume again. So that's a very quick way of adjusting RF gain. And this control down here, this actually inherits what you select on the main menu. You see I've selected PA or transmit power on there. And when I come out of the menu, you'll see that the TX power is up there in that top left hand corner, and I can adjust the TX power by just tuning that knob. So these 2 knobs inherit items from the menu system. Now, I like an occasional bit of CW operation. It's quite convenient and friendly for CW operators. So if you press the CW button on the left there, you'll see that you've got a menu system which allows you to adjust speed, set the key, set the tone, etc, etc. So all the controls you normally need for CW are there on that menu system. I've used this radio extensively for portable operation, and you might wonder what it's like outside in the daylight with this colour screen. Well, let me show you. Just walk around my garden and you can see for yourself that actually it's okay. There's not too much of a problem with the screen at all. I coped okay, so I don't think we have too much of a problem with the screen. One thing I like about this radio, of course, is in budget class, so it's not overly expensive compared with the competition. But I put it beside the IC705 and the TX500, you know, the waterproof ultra slim radio. Now these are much more expensive radios, but give you some idea of the comparison of size. I haven't mentioned filtering yet, so let's take a look at how the filters work in this transceiver. Right, so now we're on 20 meters. If I press the filter button in there, we get the filter on the screen. That's the wide filter. Basically, if I rotate the control knob down here. You see one of the filters moving over like that. And if I hold that knob in for a second or so, we now switch to the other filter. And so the two filters work against each other, and you can see just that central band would be the pass band. I must admit, a lot of the portable operation I do is from the car these days, and I sort of try and find various places to put it in the car. For example, here you see I've got the X6100 in the glove box. Glove box opens and sits quite nicely in there. I never operate on the move. Put out a couple of CQs on 20 meters, no takers, but there's quite a good few bounces back from the DX reverse beacon. I use a little tiny handheld Morse key, hold it one hand and key it with the other. That's the best I find for portable operation, because you can never find a flat surface anyway. I generally use one of the Pro-Am antennas. There you can see I've got a mag mount on the roof of the car. For 20 meters, that size mag mount is okay. You'll notice I've also got a line isolator there, which is quite essential. Band conditions are absolutely appalling at the moment. But, you know, the rigger's getting out, so I'm getting some good bounces back from a reverse beacon. So back home, I've got an end-fed half wave, covers 40 through to 10 meters, and so I thought I'd try 40 meters. By the way, the antenna matching unit works extremely well. Obviously it matches no problem at all on 40 through to 10 meters, but I did try it on 17 meters. Obviously the VSWR starts to rise, but it will actually match the power into the coax for operation on 17 meters, likewise 12 meters. Now, yeah, you've got some highish VSWR, but it does show the capability of that antenna matching unit. I really have found that it sort of copes with almost anything you can throw at it. Anyway, I did go on 40 meters. Again, conditions not very good, but I did have a QSO. Here we are. I'm running QRP. I'm just running 10 watts at the moment to a Xiegu X6100. So quite low power, but the band is quite strange at the moment. From Golf 3 Oscar Juliet Victor.
Your 10 watts, you're doing amazing. You're actually peaking nearly 5 dB over. Peaking 5 dB over. Well, pretty steady working. You're lucky. There is a bit of QS3 on your signal. You are 5 and 9 plus, about 10 dB. Dropping down to just under the 9. So it's working a treat, Peter, over.
Well, there we are, 10 watts into an end-fed half wave on a band which wasn't really very good at all. But it was a contact just to prove the point. You get a multi-function keypad on your microphone. There's a lot of functions on there, which I have a magnifying glass to read these days, but this is the up-down frequency thing. But basically, yes, you can do a lot of things with the microphone. One thing you don't want to do or carry with you when you're out and about is a separate VSWR meter. Fortunately, the X6100 has got a built-in VSWR graphic display, which saves the trouble of having to lumber one of these around with you. And just to demonstrate, here's a non-resonant bit of wire, and you'll see how it looks. As you can see, it's all over the place. Anyway, you've got a VSWR graph facility there. So there we are. That's the X6100. I've used it extensively for portable work, and it hasn't let me down at all, actually. I mean, as I said at the outset, all I need is something that will give me CW and SSB. 5 watts, I'm quite happy with 5 watts, because that really is the sort of official maximum QRP power, but I sometimes go up to 10 watts. But the thing that I really like about it is that it's all in one box. The antenna matching unit is excellent. I find the panoramic adapter, the panoramic display, is very good. It's very sensitive, actually. Even the weakest of signals you can just see on the panoramic display, so that's quite useful. CW, it's great. I don't have any problem with CW at all. It seems to be okay. It will decode CW, but I've never found a transceiver yet that you could really say, well, it's of any particular use. If you're just a listener and you're curious, you might be able to look at CW and decode bits of it, but decoding CW is not successful, to my mind, in any transceiver that I've played with anyway. But I think, above all, it's good value for money. Now, I know some of you, the keyboard warrior is going to start saying, oh, Peter, it's made in China and it's a load of rubbish, etc., etc. I haven't found it to be that way. Perhaps I don't delve into it deep enough. Perhaps because I operate CW and SSB, that's all that I need it to do. And for me, it does it very well indeed. So there we are. That's a revisit of the X6100, still available at a great price, and I like it. As usual, thank you for supporting this channel. Look forward to seeing you in the next video as usual. Bye for now.